50 years ago, they became our family in the middle of a war zone. Today, the stars of MASH are worlds away from the swamp, and some of their stories will leave you in tears. From tragic farewells to shocking transformations, we are looking at the faces we loved then and where they are now. Brace yourself for a nostalgic reunion that proves some bonds are truly immortal even as time marches on. Alda as Captain Benjamin Franklin Hawkeye Pierce. Born on January 28, 1936 in the Bronx, New York, the actor first brought his defining character to life when MASH premiered in 1972. At the age of 36, Alda's portrayal of the brilliant wisecracking and anti-authoritarian chief surgeon became a monumental cultural touchstone, capturing both the comedy of an army camp and the profound tragedy of the Korean War. Hawkeye resonated deeply with audiences navigating the real-life complexities of the Vietnam era. Alda became the beating heart of the series, eventually writing and directing many episodes, including the historic 1983 series finale, which stood for decades as the most-watched television broadcast in American history. Despite the character's reputation as a heavy-drinking, womanizing maverick who constantly flouted authority, Alda was the polar opposite, an intensely grounded intellectual and devoted family man who had been married to his wife Arlene since 1957. Finding his footing after such a legendary run presented a unique set of professional hardships. Like many stars of mega-hit series, Alda faced the immense challenge of typecasting. For a time, the industry and audiences struggled to see him as anyone but Hawkeye Pierce. Breaking free from the shadow of television's most iconic doctor made it difficult to find roles that were not just a retread of his MASH persona, forcing him to deliberately seek out darker, pompous, or antagonistic characters to prove his dramatic range and secure new work. Alda ultimately shattered that typecasting barrier, building a highly acclaimed career with standout performances in films like Crimes and Misdemeanors, earning an Oscar nomination for The Aviator, and winning an Emmy for his role as Senator Arnold Vinnick on The West Wing. A passionate advocate for science communication, he founded the Alda Center for Communicating Science at Stony Brook University and launched a popular podcast, Clear Plus Vivid. In his personal life, he has demonstrated incredible resilience, publicly revealing in 2018 that he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, but refusing to let it halt his active lifestyle. At 90, Alda remains a deeply respected and beloved figure in American entertainment, continuing to champion science and empathy while enjoying a quiet life with his wife, 3 daughters, and many grandchildren. Laurence Fishburne as Corporal Dorsey. Born on July 30th, 1961, in Augusta, Georgia, Laurence Fishburne made a brief but profoundly impactful guest appearance on MASH, which originally premiered in 1972. At the age of 20, Fishburne took on the role of Corporal Dorsey in the 1982 episode, The Tooth Shall Set You Free. Dorsey was a wounded black soldier whose storyline exposed the dark reality of a racist commanding officer intentionally sending African-American troops into deadly combat situations. Fishburne's expressive and poignant portrayal helped educate viewers on the bigotry that plagued the armed forces during that era, turning a single-episode guest spot into a memorable performance with lasting cultural weight. Despite playing a victimized and marginalized soldier under the thumb of a prejudiced superior, Fishburne's real-life persona is famously intense, commanding, and fiercely authoritative. This stark contrast mirrors his early professional struggles as he spent years fighting against Hollywood typecasting. After famously lying about his age to act in Apocalypse Now, at just 14, he found it difficult to secure leading parts, often being relegated to minor hoodlum characters, background soldiers, or brief guest appearances under the stage name Larry Fishburne. Before ascending to A-list status, he had to take whatever work he could find to sustain his career, including an unexpected turn as the light-hearted cowboy Curtis on the children's show Pee-wee's Playhouse, patiently enduring these professional hurdles until he could secure the dramatic roles that would eventually define him. Fishburne ultimately shattered those early barriers, becoming a household name with acclaimed performances in Boys in the Hood, his Oscar-nominated turn in What's Love Got to Do with It, and his legendary role as Morpheus in the Matrix trilogy. Throughout his later years, he seamlessly transitioned between blockbuster films like the John Wick franchise and successful television stints on CSI Crime Scene Investigation and Blackish. In his personal life, he has been married twice to Hajna O. Moss and later to actress Gina Torres, both of which ended in divorce, and is the father of 3 children, Langston Montana and Delilah. At 64, Fishburne remains an immensely respected and active figure in Hollywood, celebrated as a versatile acting titan, who long ago shed the confines of his early bit parts. Patrick Swayze as Private Gary Sturgis. Born on August 18, 1952 in Houston, Texas, Patrick Swayze brought profound emotional depth to the hit series MASH. At the age of 28, Swayze's portrayal of Private Gary Sturgis, a young soldier who discovers he has terminal leukemia while trying to donate blood for his critically wounded friend, delivered one of the show's most heartbreaking and memorable dramatic performances. Though it was only a single guest appearance in the series' 9th season, his poignant performance demonstrated a remarkable vulnerability that resonated deeply with viewers, leaving a lasting cultural impact that foreshadowed the immense talent of a future Hollywood superstar. In stark contrast to the frail, terminally ill Private Sturgis, Patrick Swayze was a vigorously healthy, classically trained dancer, martial artist, and natural athlete in real life. Despite his undeniable physical prowess and star potential, Swayze faced significant professional hardships early in his career, including grueling physical injuries such as a severe knee infection that required surgery and effectively ended his professional ballet aspirations. He also battled industry typecasting, initially struggling to find serious dramatic work because Hollywood frequently tried to pigeonhole him as merely a beefcake or a rebellious teen idol. He had to fight hard against these superficial perceptions to be taken seriously as an actor, all while quietly battling personal demons, including a difficult struggle with alcoholism following the sudden death of his father. Over the ensuing decades, Swayze overcame these hurdles to become a global cinematic icon, starring in massive blockbuster hits such as Dirty Dancing, Ghost, and Point Break, while sharing a devoted 34-year marriage with his beloved wife, Lisa Nemi. He continued to work tirelessly even through extreme adversity, filming his leading role in the television series The Beast, while quietly undergoing extensive chemotherapy. Tragically, Patrick Swayze passed away on September 14, 2009, at the age of 57 from pancreatic cancer. Following his death, his ashes were scattered over his beloved New Mexico ranch, and his passing prompted a massive outpouring of grief from fans and peers worldwide, cementing his legacy as an enduring symbol of passion, talent, and resilience. Pat Morita as Captain Sam Pack. Born on June 28, 1932 in Ileton, California, the talented actor and comedian first brought his skills to the 4077th during the 2nd season of the television series MASH in 1973. At the age of 41, Morita's portrayal of South Korean Army surgeon Captain Sam Pack offered a memorable and culturally significant presence on the iconic sitcom. Though he appeared in only 2 episodes, his role as a witty, straight-talking, poker-playing friend of the main surgical staff was a major milestone. It allowed Morita to break away from the goofy, exaggerated comedic caricatures commonly offered to Asian American actors at the time, leaving a lasting impact as one of the show's most revered recurring guest characters. Despite the jovial, sharp-witted, and confident demeanor he effortlessly brought to Captain Sam Pack, Morita's real life was marked by deep personal struggles that stood in stark contrast to his relaxed on-screen persona. He carried the heavy trauma of a painful childhood, having suffered from spinal tuberculosis that left him in a full-body cast for years, followed directly by his family's unjust incarceration in a Japanese-American internment camp during World War II. Professionally, he faced immense hardship, constantly battling against the frustrating limitations of industry typecasting and finding it incredibly difficult to secure substantive work that didn't reduce him to offensive stereotypes. Even when he achieved the historic milestone of leading the first Asian American network sitcom, Mr. T and Tina, He had to endure the stinging disappointment of the show's rapid cancellation. Behind the scenes, the kind-hearted and enthusiastic actor secretly battled profound depression and a lifelong severe addiction to alcohol. Pat Morita went on to achieve global superstardom in his later years, most notably securing an Academy Award nomination for his iconic performance as the wise martial arts mentor Mr. Miyagi in the 1984 film The Karate Kid. He remained a prolific figure in Hollywood, starring in several sequels, returning to his beloved role as Arnold on Happy Days and voicing the Emperor of China in Disney's Mulan. In his personal life, Morita was married 3 times and had 3 children, but his private world continued to be shadowed by his devastating battle with alcoholism, which ultimately took a severe toll on his physical health. Morita passed away at his home in Las Vegas, Nevada, on November 24, 2005, at the age of 73 from kidney failure following a urinary tract and gallbladder infection. His passing was mourned by fans and colleagues around the world, and his ashes were interred at Palm Green Valley Mortuary and Cemetery in Nevada. As a notable aftermath honoring his final contributions, the SpongeBob SquarePants episode, Karate Island, in which he guest-starred as Master Udon, was dedicated to his memory shortly after his death. Loretta Swit as Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan, born on November 4, 1937 in Passaic, New Jersey, the actress took on her defining role when the legendary sitcom MASH premiered in 1972. At the age of 34, Sweet's portrayal of the strict by-the-book head nurse began as a primary foil to the irreverent camp doctors, but rapidly evolved into a nuanced, multidimensional character. Her brilliant performance earned her 2 Emmy Awards and made Hot Lips a cultural touchstone of television history, showcasing a groundbreaking transformation from a one-dimensional antagonist to a respected, vulnerable, and fiercely capable feminist leader across 11 seasons. Despite the character's initially rigid, militaristic, and abrasive demeanor, Loretta Swit was known off-screen as a remarkably warm, compassionate person and a passionate advocate for animal rights, a stark contrast to the hardened Major Houlihan. Her career faced significant professional frustrations stemming from her massive success on the show, most notably after starring as Christine Cagney in the highly praised 1981 pilot movie for Cagney and Lacey. Swit was barred from continuing the role in the regular series because CBS refused to release her from her MASH contract. Following the end of the sitcom, she also battled the heavy burden of typecasting, finding it difficult to secure on-screen roles that allowed her to step out of Margaret Houlihan's formidable shadow. Loretta Swit continued to act in theater and dedicated much of her later life to animal advocacy, founding the Animal Alliance and publishing Sweetheart, a book showcasing her watercolor artistry to benefit animal charities. She remained a beloved figure at television reunions and a vocal supporter of veteran causes. Loretta Swit passed away on May 30, 2025 at the age of 87 in New York City. Her death was met with heartfelt tributes from the entertainment community and animal rights organizations alike, honoring a woman whose legacy of kindness and artistic excellence was as enduring as the historic character she brought to life. Jamie Farr as Corporal Maxwell Q. Klinger. Born on July 1, 1934, the Toledo, Ohio native first brought Klinger to life on MASH in 1972. At the age of 38, Farr's portrayal of the desperate cross-dressing soldier seeking a psychiatric discharge became a cultural touchstone, offering a prime-time depiction of wartime absurdity and anti-establishment defiance that was both hilarious and significant. For 11 seasons, his comedic timing and unforgettable wardrobe defined a character that remains one of television's most iconic figures. Despite the character's relentless draft dodging and outlandish attire, Jamie Farr was a proud and dutiful U.S. Army veteran who had served in Korea and Japan, described by those who knew him as deeply respectful of the military and the polar opposite of the rebellious Klinger. This contrast was a significant part of his personal journey. Before landing his breakthrough role, he struggled immensely to find steady acting work and nearly quit the profession altogether to take odd jobs as a delivery boy and store clerk. His career was also marked by the struggle of being typecast, which for a period made it difficult for him to land diverse dramatic roles after the show's long run. The continuation of his iconic character also brought a professional sting. The spin-off series After MASH suffered from declining ratings and was unceremoniously canceled after just 2 seasons, a disheartening end to his time in the 4077th universe. Jamie Farr continued to work in television, film, and theater for decades, raising 2 children alongside his wife, Joy Ann Richards, whom he married in 1963. He took to the big screen in films like The Cannonball Run, made his Broadway debut in the 1990s revival of Guys and Dolls, and became a beloved staple on game shows like The Gong Show and Hollywood Squares. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, he made memorable guest appearances on popular sitcoms such as Mad About You and That 70s Show, while his hometown of Toledo famously celebrated his legacy by dedicating Jamie Farr Park in his honor. At 91, Jamie Farr is fully retired from acting, having stepped away from the stage in 2018, following health issues and lives a quiet life as a treasured television legend. Mike Farrell as Captain B.J. Honeycutt. Born on February 6, 1939 in St. Paul, Minnesota, the actor joined the widely beloved series MASH in its 4th season. At the age of 36, Farrell stepped into the role of Captain B.J. Honeycutt, introducing a steadying moral compass and devoted family man to the 4077th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. His character's arrival was instrumental to the show's evolution from a zany anti-war comedy into a deeper, more poignant dramatic series. BJ's enduring friendship with Hawkeye Pierce resonated deeply with viewers, cementing Farrell's place in television history and leading up to the historic, record-shattering series finale in 1983. While B.J. Honeycutt was widely celebrated for his mild-mannered nature and unwavering devotion to his wife back home, Farrell's real-life experiences carried their own distinct contrasts and struggles. Although he shared his character's earnest, principled demeanor, Farrell's marriage to his first wife ended in divorce right around the time the show concluded, a painful contrast to BJ's famously steadfast, idealized marriage. Professionally, Farrell faced the immense hurdle of typecasting. The industry struggled to view him as anyone other than the quintessential nice guy army doctor. This profound association with BJ made it difficult for him to find diverse acting jobs after the show's long run, prompting him to pivot behind the scenes and focus heavily on producing to navigate the Hollywood landscape. Farrell successfully overcame these professional roadblocks, finding acclaim as a producer for films like the Robin Williams hit Patch Adams, and eventually returning to a prominent television role as Dr. Jim Hansen in the drama series Providence from 1999 to 2002. In his personal life, he married actress Shelley Fabares in 1984, famously standing by her side through severe health struggles, including a life-saving liver transplant. Outside of entertainment, Farrell became a fiercely dedicated human rights and political activist, serving for years as the president of Death Penalty Focus and involving himself in various social justice causes. At 87, he remains a deeply respected figure in both the activist community and the entertainment industry, having successfully parlayed his television fame into a lifetime of meaningful advocacy. Gary Burghoff as Corporal Walter Radar O'Reilly. Born on May 24, 1943 in Bristol, Connecticut, the actor first brought Radar to life on the big screen before becoming the sole original regular cast member to transition to the television series. At the age of 26, when he first took the role in the 1970 film, Burghoff's portrayal of the naive teddy bear-clutching and remarkably clairvoyant company clerk became a cultural touchstone, offering a heartwarming and innocent anchor amidst the chaotic, dark backdrop of the Korean War. For 7 acclaimed seasons on television, his impeccable comedic timing and endearing quirks defined a character that remains one of television's most universally beloved figures. Despite the character's boyish, naive, and submissive nature, Gary Burghoff was a seasoned, strong-willed adult who often felt at odds with his famous alter ego. This contrast was a significant part of his personal journey. He found playing an innocent 18-year-old farm boy while navigating his own 30s to be a taxing challenge further complicated by the physical demand of deliberately hiding his congenital hand deformity behind props on screen. His career was also marked by the struggle of being heavily typecast, which for a long period made it incredibly difficult for him to find diverse acting work after he voluntarily left the hit show due to severe burnout. The aftermath of his iconic role also brought a professional sting. After taking a break to focus on his family, he attempted to revive his beloved character in the 1984 spin-off pilot, WALTER. But the network ultimately canceled the project without picking it up for a series, a disheartening blow to his attempts at modernizing the character. Gary Burghoff eventually pivoted away from the harsh spotlight of Hollywood, finding new passions and prioritizing his personal life. He navigated 2 marriages, raised 3 children, and cultivated a fulfilling career far removed from acting, establishing himself as a talented wildlife artist, a professional jazz drummer, and an inventor who even holds U.S. patents for fishing tackle. He made only occasional television appearances over the decades, such as hosting the Emmy-winning PBS series Pets Part of the Family in the late 90s, preferring to remain a fiercely private individual. At 82, he is fully retired from the entertainment industry and enjoys a quiet life out of the public eye. Ultimately, Burghoff traded the immense fame of his youth for the peace and family presence he had so desperately sought when he walked away from the 4077th. Harry Morgan as Colonel Sherman T. Potter. Born on April 10, 1915 in Detroit, Michigan, Harry Morgan joined the cast of the acclaimed series MASH in 1975 to take over command of the 4077th. At the age of 60, Morgan took on the role of Colonel Sherman T. Potter, instantly transforming the dynamic of the hit show. His portrayal of the career military officer became a cultural touchstone, offering viewers a deeply compassionate father figure who balanced gruff, regular Army authority with folksy wisdom, sentimental warmth, and a love for horses. For 8 seasons, his steadying presence and brilliant comedic timing defined a character that earned him an Emmy Award and remains one of television's most universally beloved figures. Despite the character's stern-by-the-book military bearing, Harry Morgan was in reality a remarkably gentle, impish prankster who constantly kept the set loose with his mischievous sense of humor. This stark contrast between his jovial, real-life personality and his commanding on-screen persona was a testament to his acting prowess, yet the overwhelming popularity of Colonel Potter brought its own set of professional hardships. After the historic finale of MASH, Morgan attempted to carry the character forward in the spin-off series After MASH. The experience proved deeply frustrating, as the show was critically panned, suffered from plummeting ratings, and faced an abrupt cancellation during its 2nd season. Furthermore, the massive shadow cast by Colonel Potter led to periods of typecasting, making it difficult for Morgan to find late-career work that didn't simply replicate the authoritative, grandfatherly military man he had become so famous for playing. Harry Morgan continued to take on select television and film roles throughout the 1980s and 1990s, including a reprisal of his classic Dragnet character in the 1987 comedy film, and guest starring on hit series like Third Rock from the Sun and The Simpsons. He spent his peaceful later years living quietly in Los Angeles with his second wife, Barbara, maintaining close bonds with his surviving MASH castmates, and enjoying his status as a legendary character actor with a resume of over 100 films. Morgan passed away peacefully at his home in Los Angeles on December 7, 2011, at the age of 96 due to complications from pneumonia. His death resulted in an immense outpouring of grief and fond tributes from the television industry and his former co-stars, who publicly mourned him not just as an iconic commanding officer, but as a deeply cherished friend and the true heart of their ensemble. McLean Stevenson as Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake. Born on November 14, 1927 in Normal, Illinois, the actor brought humor and heart to the groundbreaking television series MASH in 1972. At the age of 44, Stevenson took on the role of the affable fishing lure-wearing commanding officer of the 4077th Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. His portrayal of the bumbling yet deeply empathetic leader became a television staple. Blake's shocking departure and off-screen death in the Season 3 finale, Abyssinia Henry, remains one of the most culturally significant and devastating moments in television history, leaving an indelible mark on audiences and redefining the emotional boundaries of the sitcom genre. Unlike the easygoing and compliant Henry Blake, who often deferred to his insubordinate surgeons to avoid conflict, Stevenson was highly ambitious and felt stifled by the ensemble nature of the show. Craving top billing and frustrated by living in the shadow of the series' breakout star Alan Alda, he made the fateful decision to leave MASH at the height of its popularity. This choice led to immense professional hardships as his career quickly became a Hollywood cautionary tale. Stevenson struggled profoundly to find a successful vehicle for his talents, facing a notorious string of rapidly canceled sitcoms, including The McLean Stevenson Show, In the Beginning, Hello, Larry, and Condo. He later openly admitted his regret over leaving the series, acknowledging the difficulty of finding work that could ever match the brilliance of the team he had walked away from. In his later years, Stevenson retreated from leading roles but remained a familiar television presence, frequently guest starring on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson and appearing as a regular celebrity panelist on Match Game. He enjoyed a settled personal life, remaining married to his third wife, Ginny Fosdick, with whom he shared a daughter alongside his two children from a previous marriage. McLean Stevenson passed away at a hospital in Tarzana, California on February 15, 1996, at the age of 68, from a fatal heart attack while recovering from surgery for bladder cancer. In a bizarre and tragic aftermath, Roger Bowen, the actor who had originated the exact same role of Lieutenant Colonel Henry Blake in the 1970 MASH feature film, died of a heart attack just one day after Stevenson's passing. Wayne Rogers as Captain Trapper John McIntyre. Born on April 7, 1933, the Birmingham, Alabama native brought his undeniable charm to the acclaimed anti-war sitcom MASH in 1972. At the age of 39, Rogers's portrayal of the rebellious martini-drinking chest surgeon Captain Trapper John McIntyre became a massive cultural hit. As the partner in crime to Alan Alda's Hawkeye Pierce Trapper, John's sharp wit and anti-authoritarian antics struck a chord with audiences, helping to establish the series as an early television phenomenon and cementing the character as an enduring icon of 1970s television. Despite playing a laid-back, rule-breaking slacker on screen, Wayne Rogers was an intensely driven intellectual, a Princeton graduate, and a savvy businessman in real life, a stark contrast to his carefree character. Professionally, his time on MASH was fraught with behind-the-scenes struggles. He grew increasingly frustrated as the show's producers began shifting the focus heavily toward Alda's character, effectively reducing Trapper John to a comedic sidekick. This creative dissatisfaction led to his abrupt departure after just 3 seasons, triggering a legal threat from the studio. Following his exit, he faced the hardship of navigating an industry that closely associated him with the Trapper persona, a typecasting hurdle that made it difficult to fully escape the shadow of the role. He later starred in the sitcom House Calls, but his tenure was marred by severe contract disputes with the studio, resulting in his dismissal and highlighting a recurring struggle to find stable, equitable working relationships in Hollywood. In his later years, Wayne Rogers stepped back from acting and parlayed his brilliant mind into an incredibly successful second career as a wealth manager, real estate developer, and investor. He became a highly respected financial advisor and a regular panelist on the Fox News business program Cashin' In. He enjoyed a quiet, fulfilling personal life, remaining happily married to his second wife, Amy Hirsch, for nearly 3 decades, and spending time with his 2 children. Rogers passed away in Los Angeles, California on December 31, 2015, at the age of 82 from complications of pneumonia. His death was widely mourned by fans and former co-stars, leaving behind a dual legacy defined equally by his unforgettable comedic talent in the 4077th and his remarkable acumen in the financial world. Larry Linville as Major Frank Burns. Born on September 29, 1939 in Ojai, California, the talented actor brought one of television's most memorable antagonists to life when MASH premiered in 1972. At the age of 32, Linville's portrayal of the hypocritical, sniveling, and notoriously inept surgeon Major Frank Burns became a cultural touchstone of the iconic series. Serving as the ultimate comedic foil to the anti-authoritarian doctors of the 4077th, his performance brilliantly captured the absurdity of military bureaucracy, helping to make the show a massive critical and commercial success. Despite playing a deliberately grating, cowardly, and unlikable character, Larry Linville was widely described by his castmates as the exact opposite of Frank Burns' exceptionally kind, highly intelligent, and a generous, warm-hearted collaborative partner. This stark contrast underscored his immense acting talent, but also presented significant professional hardships. Feeling that the rigidly one-dimensional character had no further room to develop, Linville made the difficult decision to leave the hit show after its 5th season. Following his departure, he faced the immense struggle of being heavily typecast. He frequently found himself offered variations of the same uptight, pompous persona, which made it difficult for him to break the mold and land diverse or leading roles in Hollywood. Over the following decades, Linville continued to work steadily, largely taking on guest-starring roles in popular television series like The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, Murder, She Wrote, and Night Court. In his personal life, he was married 5 times and had one daughter, Kelly, remaining a well-loved figure within the entertainment community despite his character's on-screen reputation. A longtime smoker, his health declined in his later years. Larry Linville passed away at a New York City hospital on April 10, 2000, at the age of 60 from complications of pneumonia following surgery to remove a malignant tumor from his lung. His death brought an outpouring of grief from his former MASH castmates who publicly remembered him not as the antagonistic major he played, but as one of the sweetest and most decent men they had ever known. Teri Garr as Lieutenant Suzanne Marquette. Born on December 11, 1944 in Lakewood, Ohio, the talented actress and comedian first brought the charming nurse to life on the acclaimed series MASH. At the age of 28, Garr's portrayal of Lieutenant Suzanne Marquette in the memorable Season 2 episode The Sniper became a notable touchstone for the show, offering a primetime depiction of romance and resilience amidst the chaos of the 4077th. Although it was a brief guest appearance, her sharp comedic timing alongside Alda's Hawkeye Pierce perfectly highlighted the delicate balance of wartime tension and humor that made the series culturally significant. Despite her character's ability to navigate the terrifying and high-stakes environment of a war zone with relative poise, Teri Garr was celebrated for a much more extroverted, delightfully neurotic, and quirky persona. This contrast was a significant part of her professional journey. She found immense success playing vulnerable or overwhelmed women, but it also led to professional hurdles. Her career was marked by the struggle of being typecast in offbeat supporting girlfriend or wife roles, which sometimes made it difficult for her to secure top-billing leading parts despite her immense talent. She also faced the unpredictable nature of the television industry, dealing with the professional sting of show cancellations, such as her 1991 starring vehicle Good and Evil, which was abruptly pulled off the air after only 6 episodes. Teri Garr continued to work extensively in film and television for decades, earning an Academy Award nomination for her iconic role in Tootsie, and making a memorable recurring appearance on the hit sitcom Friends as Phoebe Buffay's biological mother. In 2002, she courageously revealed she had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, pivoting to become a passionate advocate and spokesperson for MS awareness, even as the degenerative disease prematurely ended her acting career, prompting her retirement in 2011. Garr passed away at her home in Los Angeles, California on October 29, 2024, at the age of 79 from complications related to multiple sclerosis. Her death prompted an outpouring of tributes from Hollywood and the MS community, and she was laid to rest at San Fernando Mission Cemetery, leaving behind an enduring legacy in American comedy. It's bittersweet to see how the years have changed the faces we grew up with, yet their legacy is etched in television history forever. The cast of MASH showed us the thin line between laughter and tears, a balance they carry even now. Who was your favorite character during the show's legendary run? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss our upcoming nostalgic journeys.